we learned some stuff about Jalen Brunson's ankle. Knicks coming out and saying that he would be reevaluated in 2 weeks. I think that was late last week. But I had heard that the results that they had to date, which was the MRI, I assume the MRI and the X-ray, it left some people with optimism, kind of breathing a sigh of relief that they had avoided this worst case scenario where it's like a grade 3 severe ankle sprain where he's going to miss months into the playoffs. I think there's a belief and optimism that they've avoided that it's a shorter term thing based on the imaging. Now, obviously it depends on how Jalen's ankle responds once he gets back on the practice court, but there was that optimism that, hey, he should be back. We're looking at before the postseason here. We're not looking at the middle of the postseason. So all things considered, to me, the Knicks dodged a bullet there because that injury did not look good. Anthony, I'm just curious, when you're watching the game, what happens when you see something like that? What do you do?
So when I'm watching that game, I remember that play like it was 2 seconds ago. My first thought was as he was driving to the basket, because it was such a tight game, the Knicks were down 2 points. I remember saying, actually, slow it up, bring it back. And like Jalen Brunson does, he went to the basket. That's fine. I'm not even mad at him for it. And then, of course, seeing the replay, I was like, oh, my God. And there's so many times over the last 3 years, Jalen gets hurt. He goes to the locker room and he comes right back. And I'm like, there's no way he's coming back. And then when the Lakers challenged the play, he stayed at the free throw line. I'm like, oh, man, this dude can't even move. And then, of course, the Knicks lose the game. But even if we held on for the victory, I would have lost sleep that night knowing how bad that ankle looked. So hopefully Jalen Brunson will be good to go for the playoffs. But boy, oh boy, that was one scary sprain. But hopefully he's back with a few games left in the regular season because that would be devastating if it was worse. So the Knicks said we'll get an update in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from when they said that would be Friday, March 21st, but who's counting? So that will be a very nervous day for me because, like you said, no Jalen Brunson. I mean, you probably get bounced in the first round with no Jalen Brunson. So hopefully Jalen is good. Hopefully he's ready to play on, March 25th versus the Mavericks. But my guess, and I'm not a doctor, my guess is he'll be back with a few games left in the regular season. That is just a guess, by the way. No, not a report, a guess.
Yeah, I mean, based on what I heard, he should be back certainly before the end of the regular season. Whether, it's a few games, handful of games, we'll see. But again, Knicks dodging a bullet there. And Michael, in your mind, with Jalen, All-NBA based on the body of work, and assuming he gets to that threshold, I don't know exactly where he is from a games played standpoint. Is he having an All-NBA season?
If he gets to the 65-game plateau, yeah, I think so. I mean, to me, I felt him and Karl Towns have been all NBA players this year. Now, whether that's, first, second, third team, I don't really, whatever. But hitting the criteria, yeah. To me, I don't know if this is a hot take, but obviously you don't want Jalen to be hurt. But I think with all the minutes and heavy workload that he plays during the year, going into the playoffs, if he can come back and heal this injury, maybe the rest in an interesting thought gives him a little bit more fresh legs going into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. That's not a bad thought at all.
Playing guys hard minutes throughout the regular season. We saw last year they were a little burnt out, to be quite honest. So if you're looking for a silver lining and you're a Knicks fan, which I always try to paint both sides of the picture if you can, that has to be the silver lining you're looking at. But yeah, Ian, I certainly think Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns have been all NBA performers, and the Knicks have a good enough record to warrant that distinction if you want to look at it from a team perspective as well.